Hey everyone, I'm Brad and this is Watch Rate Heart. It's the start of a new week where I not only review films, I also share the thoughts of the Letterboxd community. And since June is drawing to a close, there is definitely one thing that isn't, and that is summertime. And I thought it would be a great idea to watch some movies that take place during the summer. I have 4 films to review, 2 from 1996, so let's apply some sunscreen and get down to the reviews.
Yeah.
Next is one of the most acclaimed films from Sean Baker, director of films like Tangerine and Anora, and that film is The Florida Project, starring Willem Dafoe. It has a Letterboxd score of 4.1 out of 5, an IMDb of 7.6 out of 10, a Rotten Tomatoes of 96% fresh, and a Metacritic of 92. As for accolades, it has 1 Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor for Willem Dafoe. It has 1 BAFTA nomination for Best Supporting Actor for Willem Dafoe. It's on the top 250 films with the most fans of Letterboxd at number 196. And it's on the New York Times Best Films of the Century So Far list at number 74. So I watched Sean Baker's Academy Award-winning film Anora last year, and I thought it was good. And I watched Tangerine the year before that, and I thought that was very good despite having some issues. I think both films had sizable issues, but ended up enjoying them. For right now, I think The Florida Project is his best film by a country mile. I think it's a beautifully shot film about young resilience and innocence. There's a lot of scenes in this film where it's just kids running around doing random stuff that feels lighthearted and feels very whimsical in a way and innocent, but it's of course under the backdrop of like a slum hotel and decaying stores and stuff like that. I guess I'm around the Orlando, Florida area. And I like the juxtaposition really well because a lot of it is still shot incredibly well, so it still feels fantastical in that way, in that young, innocent eyes, but the juxtaposition that you have, the beauty of what you're looking at and what the reality is very stark. And you feel that a little bit in the start, but as the film goes on, it starts to slowly creep into the reality of what's going to happen, and it results in an incredibly devastating emotional ending. And I honestly thought it was incredibly effective, except for one thing. But I will get into that in a minute because I want to also talk about the performances. I think Willem Dafoe is great in the film. I understand why he got nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar. I think Brie Vanette, who plays the mother Haley, is very good in the film. But I really have to say, Brooklyn Prince, who plays Mooney, the young girl in the film, is fantastic. One of the best performances from a young actor I have seen. She is so cute and charming in this film. She also has this emotional depth in this film that I was absolutely shocked by, especially in the end of the film. I thought it was an amazing performance by her. I was literally stunned. I mean, I really, really almost love The Florida Project. But I gotta tell you, sometimes it just takes 60 seconds to knock a film down a peg. And that's the problem I have with The Florida Project, because I loved everything about this film until the last 60 seconds. I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens, but what I'm going to guess the last 60 seconds is like a fantasy dream sequence of sorts, and it was just a scene that felt like a complete cop-out as to what happened at the end of the film. I'm watching this final scene, I'm seeing Brooklyn Prince's performance, and I'm there. I am tearing up, I am emotional. It's like, oh my god, this is so heartbreaking. And then this fantasy sequence happens, and I'm like, what even the fuck is that? I don't even want to spoil what happens at the end of the film, but I think there is a purpose to it. I just don't think it works, and I think it ruins the entire ending of the film. I know a lot of people disagree with that. Before that sequence happens, I was there. I was like, oh my god, this film is amazing. And then that scene happened, and I was just dumbfounded. Like, well, that ruined it. Let's get into the Letterboxd reviews. This one is from Greg's 1999. Greg gives it 4 stars out of 5 with a heart, and Greg says, a wonderful coming-of-age drama that is heartbreaking to watch for the kids' sake. Yeah, absolutely. Even though I was really enjoying the way the film was shot and how playful the film was in certain spots, you knew it was coming. The performances were astonishing, yes. So much emotional intelligence, yes. Willem Dafoe was also amazing. I would have gone a lot crazier with tenants like that. Yeah. Beautiful scenery as well. A great choice of location. Yeah. Everything about this film, when it comes to the location and the visuals, is just really well done. This is a very much opposite review. This one is from The Shrillest. The Shrillest gives it 1.5 star out of 5 with a heart. Heart. And the Shrillist says, some good performances from the kids and a great against type performance from Dafoe. Cinematography takes advantage of the particularly oversaturated landscape of Central Florida. Aside from that, I found it reprehensible. Poverty porn that is not in the slightest interested in the interiority of any of the characters, the children least of all. It wants to level a social critique but has nothing to say and no insights on offer. I found the burst of violence in the middle that the filmmaker uses to realign the audience's sympathies phony. I found the climax emotionally manipulative and false, ugly and empty. I'll stop beating around the bush. I didn't like it. Yeah, no kidding, the Shrillist. Again, I'm not going to spoil the film, but I was shocked at what happened during the climax of the film. I think he's talking about what Haley did to Ashley in the film. As for social commentary, I just looked at it as like a sad film about a bunch of kids who are overall really happy, but are surrounded by parents who are not doing well. And the one kid, Mooney, has a parent who has emotional intelligence and maturity of someone Mooney's age. It's essentially how I took it. Now, the Shrillist point of view is the minority, but I've heard other people say this too. So, to be fair to him, I don't agree, but he's definitely not the only one who thinks this. This next review is from Anna. Anna gives it 5 stars out of 5 with a heart, and Anna says, a vibrant yet heartbreaking look at childhood on the margins, bursting with color and innocence, while quietly revealing the harsh realities just beyond the frame. Yeah, I'm a little stunned by a lot of people who say this film is incredibly depressing from beginning to end. Maybe because you know what's about to happen, maybe that's why you feel that way, but I didn't feel it was all that depressing. I felt it slowly crept to that, but I agree with Anna. It's got this innocent charm with this really good color, and it just quietly, as the film goes on, starts to show the realities of what's happening with Mooney and Haley in the film. And finally, we have a review from Todd. Todd gives it 3.5 stars out of 5 with a heart. And Todd says, the children are adorable and Willem Dafoe is a blessing. Baker humanizes groups that we forget to humanize and shows compassion for. And this has many moments that were excellent reflections on the cycle of poverty in America. I think the reason this is my least favorite of Baker's is twofold. Despite it being a very good film still, it's that I can't fully get behind the attempt to humanize the mother, and I feel that the film is a bit too meandering at times, compared to other projects of Baker's that I think have a hint of structure that I appreciate a bit more. As a parent, I see that this parent loves her child, but what she is doing is essentially abuse in my book. And I just struggle with getting on board with parts of the movie with the way that she is framed. Beautiful ending though. Great flick, some minor problems that are specific to me. Maybe this is just my interpretation of it. I don't think Baker is pointing her into a good light. I think he's showing her as she is. I think he is showing a woman that is incredibly immature and irresponsible and tries to find the easy way out of things, and also by being more of a friend to her daughter than being a mother to her daughter. I don't think that he's giving her a good light at all. I think he's showing sympathy in a certain extent just by the way they live, but he's showing in a very stark detail that this is of her own doing. I don't entirely agree with Todd the way that Baker is showing the mother in there, but I can understand where he's coming from too. And yeah, I agree as well. She's essentially abusing that child with how she's raising him. So I agree with that at the very least. So in review, The Florida Project is a beautifully shot film, has great colors that showcase the landscape of Central Florida, even in the dingiest and broken down ways. It has great performances by Dafoe, Brie Valente, and Brooklyn Prince, and the film has a very stark emotional center that will devastate you at the end. But man, did I hate those last 60 seconds, and I think it ruined the ending for me. But even that, I give it 4 stars out of 5 with a heart. I think it's a great movie, and if you haven't given it a shot, definitely give it a chance. I think you will really like it, even if you didn't like any of Sean Baker's other films.
You can't tell how good a wave is till you actually ride it. On Mike's first ride, the first 5 seconds, he knew he'd finally found that perfect wave.
The highly successful 1960s documentary that transcended the sport it was highlighting into a cultural phenomenon. This is the Bruce Brown-directed The Endless Summer. It has a Letterboxd score of 3.8 out of 5, an IMDb of 7.6 out of 10, a Rotten Tomatoes of 100% fresh, and a Metacritic of 82. As for accolades, it entered the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress in 2002. Alright, I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to do mini reviews for films I really have not much to say about. And the reason why I don't have much to say about The Endless Summer is because I think the reviews I chose on Letterboxd pretty much says it for me. This first one's from Alphonse Zero. Alphonse Zero gives it 3 stars out of 5, and Alphonse says, the narration is annoying and gets really weird in West Africa, but the footage is pretty cool. And that basically is it for me. Everything that Alphonse Zero said here is basically how I feel. The narration is incredibly annoying. It just sounds like somebody who's trying to just fill dead air. He repeats the same words, he says the same things at a lot of points. He acts kind of corny. I don't know if you guys ever had this when you were younger, but you know those like aunts and uncles who would come to your house and show you a slide reel or a video footage of their vacation somewhere, and they would narrate over the entire thing like it was some big deal, and they make little corny jokes here and there. That's exactly how this film feels. Now, some will find it kind of charming and find the film kind of chill, like Neil Shaunis. Neil Shaunis gives it 4 stars out of 5, and he just says, and an almost therapeutically chill vibes movie. And honestly, I'd feel the same way Neil would if it weren't for the absolutely horrible narration. Like, at first it was kind of cute, but then after about the 20 to 30 minute mark, I'm like, oh my god, he's going to talk like this throughout the entire film. And yes, he does. And it just gets more and more annoying. And honestly, it gets a little boring too. Which leads me to the last review from Baron of Ham. Baron of Ham gives it 3 stars out of 5. And Baron says, I think you have to enjoy surfing to really get into this, but it's great to see Newport Beach and the Dirty Wedge mentioned. And I kind of feel the same exact way that Baron of Ham does. I am someone who does not enjoy surfing. I know, being from the Jersey Shore and everything, it's kind of weird that I don't like the beach or surfing or anything. I just don't. I never did. But I can definitely get why people who love surfing and love the beach and love the summer can actually really enjoy this film and just dig the vibes of it. So if you can find yourself digging the vibes of the film and enjoying it, I'd say give The Endless Summer a shot. But otherwise, I think it was an absolute bore. So in review, The Endless Summer definitely has some beautiful shots of beaches, waves, and water, but Bruce Brown's narration is so annoying. I kept asking myself, could he just shut up for a minute, please? I can definitely see someone who's into surfing or really the vibe of this film and loving this. I, however, was bored mostly throughout. I'm going to give The Endless Summer 1.5 stars out of 5. Again, I'm not someone who likes beaches, surfing, all that stuff is just not my thing. But I gotta be honest, if you are into those things, I can see why you would definitely love this film. So if you like how the film sounds, maybe give it a shot. Just be warned, it is pretty dated for today's standards. So overall, 1.5 stars out of 5 for me for The Endless Summer. If you liked any of the reviewers I've highlighted in this episode, you can check the video description for a link to their Letterboxd profile. Be sure to give them a follow and let them know that Brad from Watch Rate Hard sent you. You can follow me on Letterboxd and X at Watch Rate Hard. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it and share with your friends. I'm Brad from Watch Rate Hard. Thank you for watching, and remember, we all watch and rate movies, but you give them the heart that makes them live forever.